Next witness, please.
Thank you, Judge. The state calls Paloma Roshin. No? Paloma? You good? Pam? Okay. I'm sorry, Judge. If I may amend, the state calls Miqui Scollard.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalty of perjury the testimony you're about to give be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, or do you so affirm? I do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Mr.
Thank you, Judge. Good morning.
Morning.
Could you please state and spell your name for the record?
Yes, my name is Miqui Scollard. First name M-I-Q-U-I, Scollard, S-C-O-L-L-A-R-D.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, Miqui.
I am currently a junior at Northern Arizona University studying fitness wellness with a minor in biology. 23 years old, a transfer student from California.
All right, is that where you grew up in California?
Yes.
What year were you in at NAU in October of 2015?
Sophomore.
Where were you living?
Mountain View Hall.
Miqui, I'm going to ask you about the events of the very early morning of October 9th of 2015. Do you recall that date?
I recall the date, yes.
Okay. Do you recall what you were doing, in the 1 o'clock, shortly after 1 o'clock time frame on the 9th?
In the afternoon, 1 o'clock p.m.?
1 a.m.
1 a.m. Watching a show with my roommate.
All right. What's your roommate's name?
Ryam, R-H-Y-A-M.
Okay. Were you guys drinking that night?
No.
Was there something that occurred at that point in time that gathered your attention?
Yes.
And what was that?
I was watching a show with my roommate, and she kind of notified me. She's like, oh, it sounds like there's yelling outside. And I was like, really? And I lift myself from my bed, and our windows are open. And before you know it, I just heard gunshots.
Okay. Can you tell the jury, if you recall, what room you were living in at the time?
Yes, I believe it's 200A.
All right. And what does the window overlook?
The Mountain View Hall parking lot, and then you have a sidewalk, and then to the left is the track and field.
All right. Did you look out that window prior to hearing gunshots?
No.
Okay. Did you know could you hear the yelling yourself, or was it just your roommate that could hear the yelling?
I could hear it. I wasn't thinking anything really much of it until she was like, oh, she looked up first, and she's like, oh, it looks like there's going to be a fight. The second I get up, within half a second, like I said, there was just gunshots.
All right. All right. So you don't recall, okay, so you looked out the window, half a second, gunshots.
Yes.
Can you tell the jury what you did see when you looked out the window?
Yes. So within that split second, to my best memory, I do remember, it's very blurry, but I do remember seeing a figure in a white shirt charging to my right, and hearing, I don't want to do this, and then gunshots. So that was all kind of mushed in together.
All right. Do you know where that person was? So you're saying moving from your left to your right, but do you know where?
And what can you kind of...
So you were looking down upon the sidewalk, the parking lot. Can you tell us...
Where exactly they were standing when this happened?
Right.
They were on the the sidewalk, and then, so there's a sidewalk, and then right in front of that, where it connects the pavement to the sidewalk, is pretty much a decline of rocks.
Okay, so where was the person in the
They were
white...
standing on the sidewalk.
Person in the white shirt was on the sidewalk?
Yes.
Okay. So you said charging, so you're saying standing and charging. Can you describe what it is that you saw?
Yes, so from while I was looking, I do remember, just like I said, a figure in white charging to my right. They're on the sidewalk, and I'm assuming, well, don't assume, but charging to this other person, and then I hear gunshots.
Okay. Do you remember any characteristics of the other person?
No.
Okay.
I did not directly look at the shooter, no.
Okay, did you see a flashlight?
Yes.
At that moment, did you see a flashlight?
I saw a light, like a very thin light that just kind of points at something. It was very, very vivid, but I do remember the light.
All right. Do you know what it was pointing at?
Well, if it's pointing towards, so white figure charging, the light's pointing this way.
Okay.
So directly at the white figure.
Okay. And how far apart, do you know how far apart those two people were?
Give it 5 feet.
And the person in the white shirt was on the sidewalk.
Yes.
Where was the other person, do you know?
Also on the sidewalk.
Do you know how many shots you heard?
2 to 3.
What did you do?
At that moment, jumped off my bed, told my roommate to call the police, and I ran outside.
Why did you do that?
I can't give you an answer. It was just an instinct.
So you heard 2 to 3 shots, you only saw those two people, you didn't see anybody else?
My focus was just on those 2 people. I didn't focus on anything else that was around them, yeah.
Did you see anybody hit the ground?
No.
Did you know these guys, Mikey?
No.
When you ran outside, what did you do?
I ran to the first person who was on the ground, and that would be Nick Peering.
Okay, so tell me what you saw when you came around the corner and could see this scene again.
I remember running downstairs and running towards the parking lot, and I remember seeing one person on the floor first, and he was bleeding, and that's who I primarily stuck with, which was Nick. I got down, I put my palms in his gunshot wounds, told him to stay calm. At that time, I did take a quick look around, and there were boys to my back left, and Colin would be to my back right.
All right, so now you're referring to people by name.
Yes.
You didn't know them at the time?
No.
How do you know who they are now?
From, obviously, during that time and after, I was talking to Nick as I was holding him, asking his name, asking who the individual was to my right, which was Colin, and the boys to the back, I didn't know their names until after the incident.
All right. Can you tell me how many people were out there that you saw in that time frame?
Including myself, to my best memory, would probably be around 8 to 10.
Okay. So there was Nick, whom you went to.
Yes.
There was yourself.
Yes.
There was Colin.
Yes.
And then who else did you see?
I did see someone with Colin, so before, and then there was about probably 3 to 4 guys to my back left.
In the parking lot?
Yes.
All right. What were they doing?
Screaming.
Do you know what they were screaming about?
They're pretty much screaming, "Stop, don't shoot." I mean, anything you can really imagine. What are you doing? Just, just in fear.
Did you see any characteristics of those individuals that you recall?
No.
Did you see a gun or a shooter?
No. My focus was primarily on Nick.
All right. So you went to Nick and describe for the jury what you did, specifically to the best of your memory.
I put my left palm on his right shoulder, where he was shot, my right palm on his left hip. I pretty much just kind of stared at him and told him to calm down because he was screaming and crying. And I remember pretty much holding him. I was telling the boys, because they were screaming, to just calm down, everything's going to be all right. I remember looking to my back right, and Colin was there. He was bleeding pretty bad, and I remember the boys. I remember from that point, like, everyone's still screaming, and then before, a few seconds, there was another round of gunshots.
Did you notice the person who was attending to Colin? Was there somebody attending to him?
Yes.
Did you notice the color of that person's shirt?
No. But I do remember them almost behind him and holding him up. And I saw that, and I looked back at Nick, and then there was another round of gunshots, and then I put my body on top of Nick's.
Do you recall how many shots were taken that second round?
I don't recall, but to the best of my memory, I would have to say around 2 to 3.
Okay. Did you look back at that person, or?
No. Nope.
So you just covered?
Just covered Nick.
That was pretty brave, Mikey. What was going through your head?
To be entirely honest, I was preparing for a bullet to go through my back. Or my head. Hoping my head, so it'd be quick and easy, but back.
So
After that, what happened?
I remember Nick screaming and telling me to run to Colin, and that he needed help. But I couldn't leave him, so I stayed with Nick. I kept looking back at Colin and seeing him try to pretty much live, he's struggling. And I couldn't leave Nick. Like I said, I can't leave you. You're bleeding pretty bad, and I'm just going to stay with you. And I was screaming at the boys, someone to run to Colin and put their hands on him and try to stop any blood, anything that they can do.
Are you familiar with an individual named Nick Ledke or another person named Nick?
Yes.
Okay. Did you know that person at the time?
No.
But do you remember, so you've now become familiar with somebody named Nick Ledke?
Yes.
Did you see that person in that general area?
Yes. To my, I just remember him being on my back left.
Okay, what do you remember about him?
I just remember him screaming. After the second round of gunshots, the boys were screaming, like, he dropped the gun, and I told all of them, don't touch it, but I need you guys to go attend to Colin. And I just said, don't touch the gun, just leave it there. And that was it. But I never looked directly behind me to see who was there. It was just to my left and my right.
So, what happened next, Mikey?
Let's see. Tending to Nick, I hear someone scream, he's not moving, he's not breathing, to Colin, or about Colin. I'm pretty much staying with Nick the entire time. He's telling me, he's like, I'm really thirsty, I don't feel good, and he's like, go to Colin, and I just couldn't. Obviously, I said I couldn't leave him. Trying to stay calm, still telling the boys to stay calm and not to scream, like, we'll be okay. And then policemen come, ambulance, firefighters, and the policemen run up and have guns on all of us, asking us to put our hands up. I personally don't, because I am holding on to Nick. They can see that I'm unarmed, but as during that time, they're still obviously not knowing who has a gun. So they start handcuffing the boys to my left. A lot of officers come and give me bandages and tourniquets for Nick. I look to my back right, and they're doing CPR on Colin. And And I just remember them still screaming, "Is he breathing? Is he breathing?" And he wasn't. And they covered his body with a blanket. And we put a tourniquet on Nick's arm. We put some gauzes on his hip. And the police officer said that you can relieve him now. I'll take him from here. And I got up and turned around. And I walked over to where the boys were handcuffed, and I was more in shock at that time. And just sitting there, and we were there for a few minutes before they asked us all to stand up and separate us so no one got stories mixed up. During this time, I should probably make it clear that I did speak with someone. I helped him up because he was handcuffed, and we were walking to the rocks, and I asked him what his name was, and his name was Jacob. And I asked him, "Do you know who got shot? Do you know what happened?"
Objection, hearsay.
Sustained.
And,
Or you can't answer.
oh, okay, sorry about that.
If I may have a moment, Judge. Your Honor, again, referring to Exhibit 316. All right, Mike, you see what's projected there on the screen?
Yes,
Do you recognize that building?
yes.
What is the building?
Mountain View Hall.
From this view, are you able to tell the jury which room was yours?
Yes.
Which, there might be a laser pointer up there in front of you. Using that, can you indicate which window was yours? All right, so it looks like you're indicating the second floor, second window from the left.
Yes.
All right. And so when you and your roommate heard noises outside, you looked out that window?
Yes.
Was there any obstruction to what you were seeing?
No, my windows were open. Like I said, when I did look, it was for a split second, honestly, and it was all pretty blurry, but I did see, like I said, the rushing of the person in white, and then just hearing, a quick statement that I don't want to do this.
And for that split second that you looked out, could you see?
I'm sorry?
Could you see?
Pretty,
It was nighttime, right? Was-
yeah, I could see. They have lighting on the sidewalk at night.
So you just looked out for that split second. Can you, from this view, and let me know if you can't, and we'll change the view.
Okay.
From this view, can you tell us where you saw the person in the white shirt? Okay, and so that looks like you indicated it was on the sidewalk. Is that
Yes.
fair? How about the other person? Can you indicate from this view where the other person was?
It would be the same area.
Okay.
So right here.
We're going to take a different view, and I'll ask you the same question.
Okay.
All right, Mikey, from this view, now we're looking kind of straight on to that wing of Mountain View.
Mhm.
Would you agree?
Yes.
And from this view, and of course, the black curtain thing wasn't there that night, is that right?
You're talking about that black area?
Yeah.
Right. Not there, no.
So are you able to, from this view, indicate where those people were?
Yes. So right here.
Okay, so it's still on the sidewalk.
Yeah, still on the sidewalk.
And then, of course, when you ran down there, can you tell us where you ran to?
Yeah, so if we moved the screen just a little bit, so there's an opening here, that's where the door is to exit the building. I ran from here around to here.
All right. And then everything that you described was happening in that approximate area?
Yes, so around here. The boys that were screaming were back over here. I'm here with Nick, and there's Colin.
May we approach, Judge?
Yes. Let's please remember the admonition. All right, we're back on the record. All parties, council, members of our jury are present. Miss Scollard is on the stand. Go ahead, Mr. Shea.
Thank you, Judge. No further questions at this time?
All right. Mr. McAllen.
Morning.
Where did you learn to be so brave?
Can't answer it, honestly. It's I can't, people tell me, how did you do it? And I said, just an instinct.
Well, I'm glad it all worked out for you, and I'm sure Nick appreciates it. I want to go over, if we could pull up the Exhibit 316. I just want to confirm a couple things. When you pointed out your window, I'm not sure if we did it from this angle again, so I want to just confirm which window was yours.
Sorry?
There, okay. And you said the window was open?
Yes.
And you said you heard something before the shooting. What did you hear?
In terms of direct words, or just, it was, I don't want to do this.
Okay. And then you came running out this side.
Yes, so there's a door right here to exit the building, and I ran around here.
And that's where you encountered Nick and started helping him?
Yes.
Okay. And if you see that line there with the orange cone in the middle down in the parking lot, you point to it?
Yes.
A little bit further up? Yeah.
This one here?
Okay. Well, actually, why don't you just point to where Nick was?
Nick was in this area right here, because I was about, to my recollection, I was about, Colin was pretty close to me, so if Colin's there, I'm right here.
Okay. From where Nick was?
Yes.
You obviously squatted down over him?
Yes.
Which way were you facing?
This way, so towards the street.
Towards the street?
Yes.
So you had your back to Colin and the other guys?
Yes.
Out him. And that was a yes?
Yes, sorry.
And so you heard a lot of what was happening behind you, but you really couldn't see what was going on behind you,
Yes.
right? And when the next shots were fired, you heard them, but you didn't see anyone shooting?
Yes.
You didn't see what was going on during that time?
No.
I don't have any other questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Redirect.
Thank you, Judge. Just one question. As far as that statement goes, I don't want to do this. Do you know who said that?
No.
Thank you. No further questions, Judge.
All right, I'll turn to members of our jury and see if they have any questions for Ms. Scollard. Looks like we do, so I'll see counsel and court reporter at sidebar. Scollard, the jurors do have several questions for you. The first question is, do you know who the person was in the white shirt that was charging from the sidewalk?
No.
The next question is, how long did it take to get outside to render assistance after you saw the first gunshots?
45 seconds.
When you were taking care of Nick, did you hear anyone behind you say anything?
Other than the boys to my left, just screaming and saying, "What are you doing? Stop." That's to the best of my recollection. It's just the boys to my left that's what I remember of what I heard behind me.
All right. Follow up, Mr. Shea.
No follow-up, Judge, thank you.
Mr. McCown.
No follow-up.
Can this witness be excused?
Yes, Judge, thank you.
Ms. Scollard, thank you for your testimony.
Thank you.
You're excused.
Thank you.